Normally, an account of someone's life would end with an account of their death. But even after Jesus breathes his last, Mark keeps writing. And in Mark chapter 15, beginning at verse 40, he records that there were some women who had ministered to Jesus in Galilee who were now standing at the cross and who witnessed his death. And when Jesus was buried, they saw where he was laid. And in chapter 16, the women were the first to witness the empty tomb. And in chapter 16, verse 9, one of these women would be the first to see the risen Christ. Now, women's testimony was not completely disregarded in the first century, but it was not regarded very highly. And the more serious a case was, the less likely a woman's testimony was to be regarded. All of that is to say this. The fact that Mark records that women were the key witnesses to the events over the next few days means that that's the way it must have really happened. He would not have made it up. If he could have made it up, he would have put more prominent and more notable people as the witnesses and not Galilean women. In verse 42, Mark records that on the day that Jesus died, which was the day before the Passover, Joseph of Arimathea, one of the members of the council, the same council that had put Jesus to death, was also looking for the kingdom of God. He was longing for the restoration of God's kingdom. And he took courage and went and asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Now, we can understand why Joseph would have to take courage. Jesus has just been killed as a traitor. And now Joseph is going to Pilate, the man who issued the execution order, and is asking for his body in order to be able to bury him in a respectful way. Now, Pilate was surprised that Jesus had already died. And instead of just taking Joseph's word for it, he sent a centurion to investigate. And the centurion came back and said he had already died. And so Pilate allowed Joseph to have the body. I take it to be that Pilate must have had some idea of Jesus' innocence, or else he would not have allowed Joseph to have the body of someone guilty of high treason. And so Joseph, at great risk to himself, came and brought a linen shroud and took him down from the cross and wrapped him in that linen shroud and laid him in a tomb that had been cut out of a rock. We learn from other places that it was Joseph's own family tomb, and that because of Joseph's standing, it would have been a prime location. And again, Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of Joseph saw where he was laid. They will come back on the first day of the week, because on the Sabbath day they couldn't do any of the preparations that Jews customarily did for a body. So they're going to come back. But what will they find? They will not find Jesus. And we'll look at that, Lord willing, tomorrow.